Have you ever had negative thoughts in your mind that you aren't good enough, that you'll never be successful? If so, you're not alone. I've had those thoughts playing in my mind ever since I took the leap to become an entrepreneur. It's a dirty, dark secret that no one likes to talk about, as the glamorization of becoming an entrepreneur is shown in the media. I realized that in order to succeed, I needed help. We all do. So I decided to go all in on myself, spending thousands of hours in the trenches, reading, joining groups, listening to podcasts, hiring coaches to develop a bulletproof morning routine for success. Join me on my journey as together we build our morning fire to ignite our lives as entrepreneurs. My name is Jeff Wickersham, and this is the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. Welcome to the show. I am extremely excited and honored to have special guest Chad Coe on the show. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. Nice seeing you, Jeff.
Absolutely. So let's get into state. So we're going to do 3 power breaths in, breathing in through the belly, up through the chest, raising our hands behind or above our head, and then we're going to get a power boom in. So let's go ahead and breathe in and out. Good. Another breath in and out. Final breath in and out. All right, now I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. We're going to yell boom, get the energy up, have a great conversation in 3, 2, 1, and boom.
Boom.
There you go. Appreciate you playing along. So, Chad, morning routines, I eat, sleep, and breathe them. It's what I'm all about. Could you describe to the audience what are a couple things you do first thing when you wake up to kind of set you down that path towards success?
I'll share with you today. I open the blinds. I have an electronic blind opener, and so we open it up. And in my backyard, we have a pond, a fountain, swans, and beautiful nature. And part of it is just easing into the day, letting the sun come in, and being grateful for our day. And my days today in Central Time start around 7:30 in the morning, where the sun starts to come in and we start to wake up, which is very different as I was reflecting on my days years ago when I was still building a business and younger, in that I would wake up maybe at 6:30 or 7 and go to the health club 5 days a week and start to work out and start to pump iron and be energized that way. Whereas today, when I wake up and I ease into my day after being grateful and just enjoying my life that I currently have, on a daily basis, of course, you go and I go shower, I get dressed, put on a shirt, depending on what kind of day it is. Today, I picked out just a very comfortable light shirt, knowing that we're going to have this podcast today and getting ready for it. As I look at my calendar after my shower and start to look at what my day looks like. As I come downstairs, I developed a habit now going on about 5 months, which is I start with 30 ounces of lemon water. I try to drink 100 ounces a day, and I realized that if I could start with 30 or 40 ounces before I have my oatmeal every day, that I'm starting my day in a healthy way. And then after I have my oatmeal, I started to be able to make coffee. And as simple as that sounds, it's almost like a routine that I do that eases me into my day so that I could look forward to having a great functional day, knowing that I have everything set up, starting with my breakfast, and then easing into my first meeting somewhere around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. And that's my day 5 out of 7 days, Monday through Friday. And that's what I look forward to. And when I go to bed at night at about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, I know I'm going to wake up the next day and be able to ease into a beautiful day by doing that.
Love it. And I love, waking up and being grateful, right? And having a sense of gratitude where you're at. Love the hydration piece, right? We are made so much of water, and the longest stretch of the day we go without water is when we sleep. So those are two powerful pieces, and love how it's kind of organically changed throughout the years, right? That it's not so rigid that you're staying with it. When you were in build business mode, it was different. Now you're in a different mindset. So great stuff. So Chad, I'd love it if you shared a little bit of a background to all of the listeners, because I know you have a powerful story growing up and where you're at now. So if you would care to share that with some of the audience, I'd really appreciate it.
Well, what I've learned is that we all have stories, and it wasn't until I was with my wife, now we're 5 years, that she encouraged me to share my story. So up until third grade, I was in special ed. I was diagnosed with craziness, I guess is the word for it. Nothing specific, but I remember in third grade, I was with three kids, a teacher, and a cattle prod. There was no desks in the room, and there was padded walls. And my wife looked it up, and we both, looked at it. It was an institution called Grove School in Lake Forest, Illinois, which has been shut down. Now, that being said, my first classroom was fourth grade. And while being part of special ed and not the mainstream, I had an interesting, not interesting, was interesting to me, in that I had a very violent household with my mom and dad. My mom it turned out to be an alcoholic. Parents got divorced. And every 2 years, we moved from one town to another, whether it was from a house to an apartment to another apartment, and actually grew up with my dad. But when I finally got into fourth grade, after breaking my femur in half and being in a hospital for 6 weeks, I started to have adults and peers that would help and mentor me with goals and with wanting to achieve more than just being this kid that was quote unquote special. And even though I struggled through school and had a really hard time with test taking and paying attention, somehow, some way, through the help of many, I was able to overcome and go to a junior college in Champaign, Illinois, and then did well enough to be able to get into the business school at UIC. So I actually have a business degree with marketing and finance. And from that, I was able to continue to build. So I talk about if anyone could overcome the adversities that I did and become successful as an entrepreneur, business person, and someone that loves to give back to the community, I think that anybody can.
Love that story, and one of the things that just stuck out to me was mentors and adults who helped you set goals. What was that process like? Is there one in particular that stands out, which really had a profound impact on you? And how was that process? Were they just bringing it up to you, or did you have a desire to necessarily get better? I'm interested to learn a little bit more.
When I was 12 or 13, my dad told a story about that I got involved in tennis. And I
Okay.
started to play. And I think tennis is a discipline. And I was encouraged and motivated to go after the ball and to be able to try harder. And it was a sport that I liked, I became pretty good at. So from tennis, you develop a mindset. Now, by the way, when I was younger, I threw temper tantrums, I threw rackets, I was an angry tennis player. And one day something switched where I learned that you could trigger or train the brain to just walk away from the anger and the frustration and realize that it's a game and you're supposed to have fun. And from the age of about 13 or 14 till now, I rarely get angry or frustrated being competitive. That being said, when I went through school, as I reflect, I had people that would plant the seed about letting you know that you could get where you want to go. You just had to focus and pay attention on where you're at and be present today. And then if you want to become a better reader, you need to practice reading. If you want to get better at math, you need to practice math. And it doesn't mean that in one day or 1 month you get good at it, but over time it's building blocks to get where you want to go. My fun story is that I always wanted to be, I guess, a speaker, an entertainer, or be recognized. And at my brother's wedding, I gave a speech, and it was a very short, silly speech because I was a silly person at the time, 35 years ago. But fast forward today, I become a professional speaker through coaches and mentors. I become a professional auctioneer through coaches and mentors. And what was fun for me is that if there was something that I wanted to achieve, I learned from going through school and having people who were there to encourage me that it was something we want to achieve. You just need to seek it out, create goals, develop a repeatable plan, and then go after it. And I watched myself over the years become better at something, but I just said watch over the years. I don't watch over the days, weeks, and months because success is a journey that takes time. It doesn't happen immediately. It's the seeds that you plant years ago that show up and resonate and allow you the success that you have today.
Yeah,
And so
I
that's kind of
couldn't.
like an overview of how it happened.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And Anthony had commented. He said, "I agree. Mentorship is key." And thanks, Anthony, for the comment. I agree as well. And back to that success and journey, right? It's not days, weeks, months. It could be years in the process. And practice is so key. I feel like that's a struggle that so many people deal with because on social media, on television, you see somebody and they've have overnight success. And that is so the exception rather than the rule. But people get fixated on that piece and it can create unhappiness. So one of the things I love about your journey and now speaking and speaking obviously takes confidence. So what are some secrets to unlocking more confidence? Because I feel like confidence so many times stops people in their tracks from really taking action and really following through with what they need to.
So I have mentors and I pay mentors and I pay coaches, and I sometimes have two, three, or four coaches at a time. And it doesn't mean it's a life sentence, but the reason I have coaches is one can help me with the speaking, one can help me with writing, one can help me with financial planning business. And over the years, I've learned what gives me confidence. And what I've learned, as a matter of fact, I spoke on the 7 secrets of unlimited confidence 2 hours ago to a group of executives in transition, is that you need to be able to trust first. And just
Okay.
know that the universe is going to give you the information to succeed at the level you want to succeed at, that you need to be a great listener. You need to understand and write down what your why is. Why do you want to be great? Why do you want to be on this podcast? Why do you want to help other people? Why is it important to you? Which Simon Sinek talks about. So we're dealing with being an expert, sharing your why, being a great listener, trusting first. And the other thing for me is be a gift giver. So when people connect to me on LinkedIn at Chad Coe, I send them out my Auctioneer's Apprentice book or my Confident Leader book. That I realized through what I have today is that I'm able to help people break through barriers and roadblocks. And that confidence is in the feedback I get as a speaker, as a communicator, continues to build and encourage me to want to go out there and help more people because of the feedback that I'm getting, because I'm open to feedback, whether it's good or bad. So those are a couple of the things that give me confidence that I talk about and that I share with others.
Great. So if I was, let's say I was somebody that suffered from a lack of confidence, what is one or two things that somebody could take action today and leverage in what you speak about that would move them to be more confident?
So what I love is I go to Starbucks and I'll buy $5 gift cards and carry them in my wallet. And I'll
Okay.
walk around knowing that I have something that's worth $100 or $1,000 to somebody. And when I see that someone's going above and beyond or nice or kind to me or the people I'm with, I'll give them that gift card as a thank you for being different and being genuine and being nice. It reminds me of a story once when I went to just the sporting store to look at some weights. And the person helped me, he was so kind. And when I was done, I said, here's a $5 gift card. I like to give them out to those people that are nice and go above and beyond. It was 2 years later, I was walking out of the store and he came and chased me to thank me that he remembers me for being the guy at the sports store that gave him that Starbucks card. It is so impactful on people. But I feel like it gives me confidence to be able to walk around and have that Starbucks card in the wallet that you could give away at any time and put a smile on someone's face because you did that. And again, practice. When you practice training the brain to not have fear and that you're doing something that people appreciate, it gives you immediate confidence, I believe.
I love that example and how powerful of a practice that is because one, obviously you're rewarding someone for going above and beyond, but two, you're reinforcing in that person the gift that they have, right? Of going above and beyond. So you're not only gaining confidence from your own perspective, but you're empowering the other individual and you're really showing them the gift that they might not believe, but now they do because you've reinforced that.
So one other quick example, my wife and I go to dinner and we like to have the server feel good about themselves and what they are. And if you go to my Facebook page, there's a video of me in Colorado this last weekend where we not only made the server feel special, but he sat down with us at our table brought over shots of something, and we took shots together. And because of that, not only did he get a bigger tip, but it was an enjoyable experience. It was an enjoyable dinner where the person understood after 20 years of being a server that it was his job also to help us feel good and feel happy, as well as we find it our job when we go out to help other people to find their happiness and to find their joy as well. And if you do that, it builds confidence and it allows you to just become better, being your best you.
Love it. Love those examples and stories. Appreciate you sharing. So roadblocks, right? We all come to a point where we have a roadblock. How do you what are some strategies you leverage with your clients and in your speaking engagements to talk about how to remove roadblocks in the process?
So one of the great entrepreneur consultants that's out there is a guy named Dan Sullivan. And over the years, he's coached me and mentored me, and I've read his books and created what I call the Abundant Life Roadmap, which has in there a section on roadblocks. So if you can understand and recognize that you have roadblocks, now you create the strategies to remove the roadblocks. And by the way, if the roadblock is not removable, then you find another way to go around it or you find another path. But what I found over the years by understanding that there's roadblocks in front of me, that when I focus on the systematic, repeatable processes that could get me where I want to go, I find that the roadblocks have a way of dissolving or going away. Part of it is the very first thing is to recognize that there is a roadblock
Okay.
and then work either yourself or with a coach to figure out the steps to be able to overcome the roadblocks and have them removed.
Gotcha. Okay. And one of the common themes I'm hearing throughout this podcast is, hey, 2, 3, 4 coaches at a time, helping you in different areas to mentor, guide you, and give perspective. And so many times I know I suffered from that in my past, was being the only person in the journey, not having others to bounce it off of. And then you get stuck and it's very difficult to see things that others can see when they have a different perspective.
So one quick example, I started a daily accountability coach to help me lose weight. And
Okay.
I'm down 25 pounds. But 3 weeks ago, I reached a plateau and I spoke to my coach and I said, why is this happening? He says, Chad, you're sending me daily notes that you're working out intensely for an hour to 2 hours a day, but jumping ropes, push-ups, planks, and other things. As a physical coach and you know a doctorate in that, your body is in shock and not able to lose weight because it's got inflammation and there's other things that you're doing that are getting in the way. I would have never known or realized that if I didn't have a specialist that was working with me on the weight loss. When I cut back to a half hour a day of light workout, I dropped 5 pounds within those 3 days because my body came out of the shock and started to act and react the way it was supposed to. I would have never known that if I didn't have an expert that I was working with on a daily basis helping me. And now the weight's coming off every day and every week. And now I'm down to the lowest weight I've been at probably in 15 or 20 years.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And what a great story about, and I know so many people are on that fitness journey, that exercise, that weight loss journey, because 72% of America is either obese or classified as overweight. So that's a great story that Chad just alluded to. Well, if you're going through it and you reach that you've got to have an expert around that can help you through it to give guidance that you wouldn't
That's right.
otherwise know. And so many times, Chad, in your example, what happens is then people reach that plateau and then they just give up because they can't go anywhere. They don't know what the proper methods are, and that's just crucial in the overall process. So 10xing your success with larger goals. Speak to me a little bit about that concept.
When you say, give me the question one more time about, you asked me about larger goals.
Yes, larger goals.
Well, again, start with the idea that you want an abundant life. And
Okay.
what is an abundant life? Personal, professional, and financial. See, most people think abundance is just financial. So when I start my day by being grateful, I'm starting with the personal life. I have the financial life because I've learned as a financial planner that when you put money away on a repeatable basis, invest it and diversify it, you could have financial freedom. When it comes to the professional side, I have values that talk about the fact that I'm not going to go somewhere and be abused by an angry or angry boss. So after 24 months at Payne Weber, I went on my own and created Coe Financial Group so that today I could have business freedom and business success because I'm in charge of my future. So some of my goals were to grow my company, call it by 20%. Last year, in the last 12 months, I grew my business. I had the very best year I've ever had by double any previous 12-month period. And the reason why is because I came up with a repeatable process that worked for me, that I learned from someone else, and then hired a coach to keep me accountable for it so that this growth could happen. So I want you to think about abundance and then think about it from the way of personal, professional, financial. And then if there's roadblocks that are in the way from your success, let's figure out how to remove those roadblocks or the toxicity that's in your life that keeps you from the success that you want.
Love it. Love it. And one of the things that I again heard a couple times was accountability, right? That accountability is so key in the overall process and allowing you to stay consistent, right? I heard that a couple times, that consistent, repeatable process, doing it over and over again. And, I love Simon Sinek in his book, The Infinite Game, says consistency is more important than intensity. And I love that line, right? Just over and over again. You will eventually get there, but so many people start so intensely, they don't have that result right away. And then they give up rather than just saying, hey, no matter what, I'm going to stick with this until I've reached that goal. And you will eventually reach that goal.
It's the law of numbers. You just have to put it out there in a repeatable process and watch how success shows up when you least expect it. One of my great stories is I was making phone calls from February till October, and I was getting very little or no success. And I would call coaches and mentors and the people that were in my life, and they would tell me what to do different. And then all of a sudden, one day, the faucet turned on, and 8 new clients showed up within 2 months.
Wow.
But it was all the work that I had done for the first 6 months that allowed all the success to show up afterward. 9 out of 10 advisors stopped the first 6 months.
Gotcha. Yep. So true. Chad, I loved all the info and the story and the all the stories and examples you shared with the audience. Where can people find you if they want to know more about Chad?
You could go to cofinancial.com. You could call my direct number at 847-282-3170. You could go and email me at chad@cofinancial.com. And you could Google me. I come up second after the child molester down the street from me. And other than that, on the internet, there's a lot of good, positive things out there to be able to see more about me and how I could help and engage you. So thank you so much, Jeff. And I really appreciate the interaction today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chad, for being on the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have an amazing rest of your day. Rise, fight, love, repeat. Get after it. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. You now have the knowledge, but without action, knowledge is useless. Choose to act. Choose to step into your greatness and unlock that hero inside of you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review so more entrepreneurs can hear this message. If you absolutely love this podcast, which I hope you do, then share it up with someone you know who might see benefit from it. Become that beacon of change, and together we can impact the world.